A week has passed since Whiskash's capture, with Ash and Brock having finally arrived in Fortree City. Like with most of the stops on this adventure, they are earlier than in canon, meaning the Fortree gym is still accepting challenges, a fact which delights Ash, who is raring to get back on a winning streak. Though, there is one problem, that being that currently, the gym leader Winona is off practicing for an upcoming event known as the Feather Carnival. Ash however doesn't mind this, getting directions to Winona's training grounds from her assistant Zachary and heading off. Though, to call this place a training ground would be a misnomer, as when Ash arrives, he sees Winona high in the sky on the back of a skarmory, leading a synchronized flying routine. Excitedly, Ash brings out his own skarmory, exclaiming that this sure looks fun, doesn't it? But to the boy's chagrin, this fails to induce any kind of excitement from the armor bird, with it instead screeching out a challenge to the other member of its species. Hearing this, Winona's skarmory looks down at the newcomer, and noticing her friend's distraction, the gym leader does likewise, spotting Ash and skarmory, and bringing her partner in for a landing to see what they want. Wasting no time on preamble, Ash asks if this woman is Winona, and when the aviator confirms this, he requests that she give him a battle. Smiling kindly, Winona says it would be her pleasure, though her interest is more directed towards Ash's skarmory, asking if it's his. Nodding, Ash says it is, though Skarmory gives a little indignant sniff, as if it does not like being reduced to its relationship with the boy. It then glares at its counterpart, who up close is much larger than an average Skarmory, being at least twice the size of Ash's. With its combative personality, this perceived inferiority infuriates Ash's Skarmory, who calls out a challenge, while Ash grins that it looks like his steel type is eager to battle Winona's. Shaking her head, Winona says that she's afraid Skarmory isn't on a gym team, as it's too powerful for most trainers to handle. But with a grin, Ash replies that she shouldn't underestimate him and his team, since they've been training really hard to be the best they can be. Respecting this dedication, Winona agrees to use Skarmory in their gym battle, though she does put in a proviso that the match will be a one-on-one, since she doesn't want to wear out her whole team right before the Feather Carnival. Barely containing his excitement, Ash says that's no problem, as he already knows who he's going to use, looking to Skarmory and asking if it's ready to help him win his 5th badge. Back at the Fortree gym, Ash soon finds himself standing on a platform which rises into the air, all the better to conduct aerial battling from. On the other side of the field, Winona does likewise, while Zachary, who stands in the middle, orders both trainers to bring out their Pokémon for this single elimination gym battle. At once, the two Skarmory spring from their Pokeballs and take flight, with Ash's smaller one going in for an attack before its trainer can even command it to. Wings glowing, Skarmory throws itself at its foe, though unfortunately Winona's Skarmory, like all members of its species, is resistant to steel-type attacks, making this a mostly futile effort, as the steel wing simply bounces off Skarmory's metallic hide, leaving it wide open for a counterattack. And what a counterattack it is, as knowing that Ash's Skarmory will resist all its moves, Winona has her armor bird use its main advantage, that being its size, to slam its smaller opponent from above and drive it into the battlefield. With its enhanced size also comes increased weight, a fact Ash had not considered until said weight is used to flatten his Skarmory against the ground. Wincing a little at the metallic crunch that accompanies this unplanned landing, Ash worriedly asks if Skarmory is okay, but with its usual defiant determination, the steel fly lets out a battle cry, which informs both friend and foe that it is still able to battle. Returning to the air, the pair of armor birds then eye each other off, though this time at least, Ash's Skarmory does not rush in recklessly, allowing the boy to come up with a strategy, as he tells his Skarmory to use agility. Seeing the logic in this, the armor bird begins zipping around the battlefield, picking up speed, while Winona and her Skarmory watch with interest, though eventually the pair do grow tired of this, and so Winona tells her friend to wrap this battle up by sending Ash's Skarmory back to the dirt. Calling its understanding, Winona's Skarmory flies at its target, but to its surprise, the smaller Skarmory easily dodges the attack, getting behind its attacker and striking back all in the time it takes the gym leader's Pokemon to turn its head. However, this is not the end of Skarmory's onslaught, as while Winona's armor bird attempts to right itself from this first hit, Ash's Skarmory gets in another, this time a peck, which while resisted, still does some damage. By now Winona has figured out Ash's strategy, and compliments him on it, saying that since her Skarmory is bigger and heavier with all that extra metal covering its body, he's surmised that it's also slower than he is, and so is trying to use that to get in a bunch of rapid-fire hits. Very clever. Grinning, Ash thanks the gym leader, then tells Skarmory to use Peck again. With its enhanced speed, this is no issue for the Steel Flyer, who strikes true before coming in for a second pass. However, this time Winona's Skarmory is wise to its game, raising a Steel Wing to swat its foe out of the air. Thankfully, this is not an issue, as all it takes is an aerial pivot for Ash's Skarmory to avoid the attack, then rake its own Steel Wing along the bigger Skarmory's chest. Despite this move being resisted, Winona's Skarmory lets out a clear cry of pain at this attack, and it is only now that the gym leader recognizes the full extent of Ash's plan. He has been targeting the same spot on Skarmory's armor to create a weak point which he can exploit for one decisive attack. Refusing to allow this, Winona orders her skarmory to hold nothing back as it zeroes in on Ash's. However, by now it is already too late, as that cry of pain was the signal the young challenger had been waiting for, and so he tells Skarmory to bring this match to a close with one last steel wing. Wing glowing as it did at the start of the match, Skarmory once more soars at its foe, though this time the results could not be more different, as by targeting the weak point it and Ash have created, it is able to send a wave of pain throughout the bigger Skarmory's body that renders it inert, allowing for Ash's Skarmory to toss it into the base of the platform Winona is standing on, knocking it out and securing the win. The victorious armor bird then looks back to its trainer, its yellow eyes piercing as ever, though there is less animosity to its stare now. Instead, Ash sees acknowledgement, albeit begrudgingly, that it could not have attained this victory without Ash's strategy and guidance, so for that reason, it will accept him as its trainer from here on out. Beaming, Ash runs to Skarmory as soon as it lands, wrapping the flyer in a hug and congratulating it on its victory. This affection still clearly makes the aloof armor bird Pokemon uncomfortable, so it falls to Winona to break it up, presenting Ash with a feather badge and filling him in on how to reach the next gym on Mossdeep Island. However, after all their recent hard work, Ash and Brock both feel as though they deserve a break, and so stick around for the Feather Carnival, with everyone having a great time. Even Team Rocket gets in on the festivities, with James catching himself a Chimecho, though they do have to flee rather quickly after Jesse's Gulpin gets out and eats half the carnival's food supply, leaving them with a massive bill. After the festival is done, Ash and Brock get back on the road, with the next few episodes remaining mostly as canon, meaning they still assist in bringing cinema to a small town, Pikachu still experiences a bout of amnesia causing him to briefly join Team Rocket, and Brock still studies the art of Pokeblock making, though this time with Lotad as his partner, causing the Waterweed Pokemon to finally evolve into Lombre. While this last event is occurring, Ash is doing what he does best, battling. Now that Skarmory is properly on the team, he has become a valuable training partner, almost making up for the fact that Grovyle and Meganium can't train together anymore. Currently the Woodgecko is sparring with Tauros, though this is brought to a halt when a familiar boisterous belly laugh catches Ash's attention. Spinning around he sees Watson, hardy as ever, while at his side strolls a proud Manectric. Spotting the young man, the former gym leader approaches, asking how he's been, while with a suddenly shameful tone, Ash says he's been fine. Curiously, Watson asks what's wrong, to which Ash explains everything he wasn't able to after their gym battle, about how Pikachu was supercharged by the Raikou robot, and how he didn't really win the badge fairly. However, instead of seeming angry, Watson just laughs again, telling Ash not to sweat it. Sure, he was pretty disheartened after that match, but it helped him find a new calling as a coordinator, and now he couldn't be happier, since he gets to spread joy and laughter, which is all he ever wanted. Ash can't help but goggle at this revelation, having always imagined coordinators as pretty girls and handsome boys, not blustery old men. But seeing this skepticism, Watson chuckles that he's actually become quite good at his craft these last few weeks on the road, so if Ash really wants to make up for what he considers an unfair win, why don't they have a quick battle? Beaming, Ash replies that the man took the words right out of his mouth, calling over Pikachu and telling him to get ready, as Watson nods to his Manectric, as one the two electric types take to the field, with Watson giggling that he will have the first move, since as they say, age before beauty. He then tells Manectric to use Bite, with the electric type charging in, though Ash has no intention of letting his buddy become a chew toy, as with a grin, he orders a Thunderbolt. Channeling electricity from his cheeks, Pikachu then fires off the blast, but here something strange happens, as instead of arcing around as lightning tends to do, the current zips directly at Manectric, bathing it, then seemingly being absorbed into the Thunderdog. Shocked, Ash asks what just happened, but with a grin, the electric specialist simply replies that his Manectric's ability is Lightning Rod, meaning that all electrical moves are completely ineffectual against it. Unfortunately for Pikachu, this is not the worst of it, as during this time, Manectric is not slowed down in the slightest, with it now being close enough to deliver its Bite attack, the razor-sharp fangs digging into the electric rodent's arm. Squealing in pain, Pikachu jerks back, and as Manectric begins pacing in preparation for another attack, Ash weighs his options. Most of Pikachu's moves are electric type, so this Lightning Rod ability makes things really difficult for them, though thankfully, he does have one old standby he can rely on, Quick Attack. When Ash gives this order, Pikachu drops down to all fours, and at once his speed increases dramatically, with him hurtling towards Manectric. Grinning heartily, Watson tells his Pokemon to do the same, resulting in a head-on clash as the two electric types meet in the middle. Sparks fly both figuratively and literally, as neither Pokemon wishes to surrender their pride. But in the end, Pikachu is simply a more experienced battler, with the strength of his Quick Attack eventually knocking Manectric off its feet, and allowing the mouse to deliver that Quick Attack to its soft underbelly, ending the duel by knockout. Guffawing like a thunderclap, Watson commends Ash and Pikachu on their strength even without the Raikou boost, before walking over to pet his defeated partner. Smiling, Ash thanks Watson for the battle and wishes him luck in his future contests, feeling at last like he truly earned his Dynamo badge. However, this does not mean he is wholly content, as that battle taught Ash an important lesson. If he and Pikachu are to keep going up against stronger opponents, they need to learn some new tricks, as the lack of diversity in their move pool nearly cost them dearly. After this, the pair get to talking, with Ash recounting all his battles since they last met, and Watson sharing his contest experience, such as how he has gotten the nickname the Shocking Watson for his unique style of performing. Both have a good laugh over this, with Watson even inviting Ash to come watch the Lily Cove contest. Though the boy would like to, he is eager to get to Mossdeep for his next gym battle, but with a grin, Watson tells him not to worry about that. If he sticks around until after the contest, he'll take him and Brock over to Mossdeep faster than any boat could, with his patented Watson wing. Seeing no reason to refuse now, Ash happily accepts, and so it is that he and Brock find themselves in the audience of the Lily Cove contest the next morning. It does not take long into Watson's performance for Ash and Brock to figure out how the former gym leader got his nickname, or the fact that it might not have been meant as a compliment, as when it comes his time to perform, he and May naturally attempt to pull off a slapstick comedy routine that falls flatter than a pancake that's been sat on by a Snorlax. Unsurprisingly, this means that Watson does not get to move on to the battle round, but as with all things, he takes this with good humour, laughing heartily, then telling the boys to follow him. As it turns out, the Watson wing is a seaplane whose engine is kept running by the power of electric Pokémon, and though the eccentric old man assures his friends that Maynetric can power the plane by itself, Pikachu still wants to help, adding his power and supercharging the aircraft so that they're in Mossdeep by nightfall. Thanking Watson for the lift, Ash and Brock then head off for the Pokemon Center to rest up for the night, though before they go, the former gym leader gives Ash one last piece of advice, that the Mossdeep gym leader is actually a pair of gym leaders named Tate and Liza, and that they engage in double battles with their Solrock and Lunatone. Shooting the man a thumbs up, Ash thanks him for the tip, then with one last guffaw, Watson takes to the sky once more, eager to continue his journey of spreading good cheer and laughter to all of Hoenn. The next morning, Ash arrives at the Mossdeep gym, where Tate and Liza are waiting for him. Smiling, the twin gym leaders introduce themselves and the rules of their gym before asking if Ash is ready to face them in a double battle. In response, the young Cantonian nods that he is, and that he's put a lot of thought into who he wants to battle their Solrock and Lunatone, before bringing out his picks, Grovyle and Meganium. As per usual, this immediately results in Grovyle swooning over its beloved, while Meganium rolls her eyes and barely deigns to look at her pathetic partner. From the sidelines, Brock asks if Ash is sure that this is the pair he wishes to use, while Pikachu sweat drops, having a bad feeling about his trainer's chances of victory. Grin only growing, Ash tells his friends not to worry since he has a plan, before returning his attention to the battlefield and urging the referee to start the match. A moment later, the call to begin comes, and at once Ash is on the offensive, having Meganium use Vine Whip while Grovyle is told to use Bullet Seed. Dutiful as ever, Meganium wastes no time setting to her task, and hoping to impress its crush through a demonstration of its capabilities, Grovyle does likewise. As a result, dual vines lash out at Solrock, while Lunatone is targeted by a barrage of seeds, though neither blow lands, as with impressive coordination, the twin gym leaders have their Pokemon dodge. Thanks to the battlefield being a planetarium, Solrock and Lunatone are easily able to hide amongst the model planets, though this does not deter Ash and his Pokemon, with the young man having Grovyle leap onto the orbs and look for their opponents from above, while Meganium is told to ready a pedal dance to fire as soon as they've found them. Pounding its chest in a sign of determination, Grovyle then springs into the air, landing on a planet and scanning around before leaping to the next. This repeats several more times, until with a cry, Grovyle spots Solrock and begins peppering it with bullet seeds. Rumbling in pain, Solrock descends to get out of the way of this attack, though in doing so, it puts itself right in the line of fire from Meganium's pedal dance. Knowing this will probably be lights out for Solrock if it hits, Tate as his Pokemon dodge once more, but unfortunately for the gym leader duo, this allows the pedals to soar up into the field of planets where they strike an unsuspecting Lunatone for super effective damage. Angrily, Liza tells Tate that he needs to be more careful, since if she and Lunatone get taken out, who will protect him and Solrock? Flaring up, Tate retorts that she hasn't been doing much protecting so far, with Liza protesting that this is only because he ran ahead before she could make a plan. This leads to a heated bout of bickering between the twins, and seeing that they have left their Pokemon unattended, Ash capitalizes, having Grovyle lock onto Solrock once more and resume its Bullet Seed barrage, while Meganium wraps her vines around one of the planets and uses it to slingshot herself into Lunatone with a momentum-powered body slam. These attacks both end the same way, with the rock psychic types being driven into the ground of the battlefield, while their opponents stand triumphant. And this is at last enough to snap Tate and Liza out of their feud, with the duo resynchronizing in order to make a comeback. Seeing the fire in their eyes, Ash warns his Pokemon that fighting separately might not be enough to win anymore, with Grovyle eagerly jumping down to stand beside Meganium, while the Brontosaurus looks as though she would rather have anyone but this goober as a partner. Nonetheless, for Ash's sake, she does not balk when the boy orders them to employ a combo move, firing off Bullet Seed and Petal Dance in unison, with the hope being that the combined super effective moves will be enough to take out at least one if not both of their opponents. Unfortunately, Liza has a plan in place for this, and so making good on her promise to protect her brother, has Lunatone drift forward and counter this with Ice Beam. At once the volley of greenery is turned to pale blue, with Grovyle and Meganium having to jump back to avoid the super effective blast. Grinning, Tate praises his sister's quick thinking, while from his corner, Ash frowns. An Ice-type move will make this match much harder, though all the same he has faith in his Pokemon, so he'll focus on his part of the battle and trust Grovyle and Meganium to do the same. Unfortunately, Ice Beam is not the only problem Ash has to contend with, as now that the Grass duo have gone on the defensive, Tate is able to unveil Solrock's secret weapon, Flamethrower, with the Meteorite Pokemon spraying a torrent of flame which makes both Grovyle and Meganium screech as it washes over them. Now it is Liza's turn to praise her brother, with the girl offering to follow up with another Ice Beam, an offer Ash's Pokemon very much want to decline, running as fast as they can in the opposite direction. Seeing this, the twins both command their Pokemon to use Ice Beam and Flamethrower, with blue and red trails following after Grovyle and Meganium. Unfortunately, retreat is no way to win a match, and worse still, as the slower of the pair, the Flamethrower Ice Beam combo is gaining on Meganium. Recognizing this, Grovyle does the unthinkable, doubling back and throwing itself between Meganium and the blasts, just as they are about to strike her. Grovyle's howls of pain then fill the gym, as the two super effective moves play havoc with the grass type's body. However, even in the face of this, Grovyle refuses to fall, standing strong as it barks something to Meganium. Here Brock once more speaks up, expositing that the power of love must have given Grovyle strength so that Meganium can escape. There is only one problem with this. Meganium is no coward, and she sure as hell isn't going to give up her pride and play damsel in distress while Grovyle gets to act cool. No, if they're standing against this onslaught, they'll do it together. A fact she makes clear as she charges up a Petal Dance. Recognizing this, Grovyle endures just a little while longer, holding the line so its partner can ready the counterattack, and when it falls, is the sight of a flurry of pink petals racing over the top of Ice Beam and Flamethrower to strike Solrock and Lunatone head on. The force of this attack is enough to cause an explosion, and as black smoke fills the field, Tate and Liza call for their Pokemon to keep going. However, this is a vain hope, as with two heavy thunks, the rock psychic types crash to the ground, joining Grovyle in unconsciousness, thus making Meganium the last Pokemon standing, and subsequently Ash the winner of the battle. Making their way over to their challenger, Tate and Liza both give Ash their congratulations, with the boy in turn thanking them and shaking both their hands. He is then presented with the Mind Badge, and as he adds it to his case, he looks over to his two Pokemon, wondering if perhaps the battle has changed the way they see each other. Unfortunately, this is not to be, as when it comes to, Grovyle immediately resumes its fawning over Meganium, who surveys it with the same old disdain. Though, Ash thinks he sees a little less disgust in the herb Pokemon's eyes now. Moving on from Mossdeep towards Sootopolis City, Ash and Brock decide to stop off at a small island for lunch and a bit of training. Here Ash is challenged by a rookie trainer, and after a short battle in which Ash's Phanpy triumphs over the rookie Scizor, the pair part ways with smiles on their faces, unaware of the fact that someone has been watching them. However, now that the match is over, the spectator, a grizzled-looking sailor with a long white moustache, approaches our young hero, asking if he is Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town. Grinning, Ash says he is, to which the sailor responds that he's heard a lot about him from his old friend Moore, explaining that they used to be colleagues in the Elite Four before Moore's retirement. Eyes lighting up, Ash exclaims that this must mean the old guy is also an Elite Four member, causing the mustachioed man to awkwardly grumble that he's really not that old. Jumping in, Brock encouragingly says that his friend didn't mean it in a disparaging way, and that they both think old timers are really cool because of all the wisdom and experience they've gained. Ash eagerly seconds this claim, and this is enough to pull the sailor from his funk, with him proudly declaring that they're right, before introducing himself as Drake, the dragon specialist of the Elite Four. He then reveals his reason for approaching Ash, explaining that if the boy would be interested, he'd like to have a battle with him, to test Moore's claim about his potential. Grinning, Ash says he'd love to battle Drake, though if he doesn't mind, he'd like to make one call first, since if he's going up against an Elite Four member's dragon types, he's gonna need to bring back an old friend. And that's where we'll leave things. Has Ash advanced far enough to stand toe-to-toe with an Elite Four member? What will victory or defeat mean for our hero? And who has he chosen to be his ace in the hole for this battle? Find out as the journey continues.